25. What role should temp-to-hire staffing play in my organization?
Temp-to-hire is an excellent way of attracting new talent to your company. The key advantage lies in the try before you buy opportunity that only temp-to-hire allows. The most common area where temp-to-hire will play a role in any organization is in the administrative support ranks. However, this employment option is gaining popularity in the executive management ranks as well. The advantages for your company are obvious: interviews, background and reference checks, pre-employment drug screens, and the like will only tell you so much. There's no substitute for working side by side with people to really learn what they're all about. The advantages to candidates are equally appealing. Individuals who wouldn't otherwise qualify on paper for consideration gain an opportunity to strut their stuff in front of prospective employers. Their chances of landing full-time work skyrocket because they wouldn't otherwise have any way of qualifying for a position. On the other hand, there are limitations to temp-to-hire staffing arrangements. The biggest disadvantage lies in the fact that candidates enjoy and get used to the flexibility associated with freelance work arrangements. It's not uncommon that people used to that kind of flexibility face difficulties when attempting to conform to a 9-to-5 routine. Therefore, you should be extra careful when interviewing candidates in temp-to-hire situations in this regard. Tell me more. It's fairly easy to initiate a temp-to-hire staffing arrangement. In the case of clerical support agencies, simply explain to the agency that you're looking to find a secretary, staff accountant, or customer service representative on a temporary basis who is looking for full-time work. Interview that candidate as you would any other. Temp-to-hire clerical staffing is more effective if you interview candidates face-to-face before investing in the training period to follow. Assignment length is typically anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months, depending on your comfort zone with the candidate and your department's needs, for example, filling in for a maternity leave. Employ the temp-to-hire staffing strategy simultaneously with your ongoing search to fill a position. In other words, temp-to-hire shouldn't supplant a traditional search for a full-time candidate. Instead, it should supplement your search by allowing you an alternative means of identifying the right fit. This way, if you find a more qualified candidate through your traditional search methods, then great, your temp will have helped ensure a smooth workflow transition. Otherwise, the temp himself may be your next full-time hire, and there's your win-win for candidate and company. Don't backdate an employee's start date to include the time that he was temping for you. During the temp arrangement, the agency was the employer of record. You were only part of a co-employment relationship. Therefore, you shouldn't bridge service credit for periods when you weren't the employer of record. The date the person switches payrolls and becomes your employee exclusively is day 1 of employment as far as you're concerned. Clerical agencies distinguish between the pay rate and the bill rate. The pay rate is what they pay the applicant on an hourly basis, the bill rate is what they charge you. The difference is called a markup. In many cases, clerical agencies charge markups of 55 to 60%. Depending on geography and the scarcity of a candidate's skills. Executive temporary agencies may charge hourly markups of 70 to 80% for degreed professionals, such as MBAs, CPAs, and JDs. When the candidate converts to your payroll, executive temporary agencies often charge liquidation, or conversion, fees equivalent to a contingency search assignment, often 25 or 30% of the candidate's base salary in the first year. In contrast, clerical agencies rarely charge liquidation fees as long as their temps work for a minimum number of hours, usually around 480 hours, or 60 business days. With the U.S. economy in flux, dot-coms and other industries in transition have freed up in-demand professionals for interim assignments. Candidates in industries like wireless technology and software engineering will continue to command pay rates in the $60 to $100 an hour zone, and companies like yours will need to pay markups on those rates to attract qualified candidates. Remember that most executive temporary professionals want career stability and full-time work. Short-term assignments with interesting work and good pay have a temporary allure, but many of those candidates will end such relationships in order to find a real job. Therefore, keep this fluctuation limitation in mind when dealing with executive temps. Unless you have full-time opportunities to offer, you may lose them before they've solved your interim staffing problem.